It's actually crazy. I never ever thought that I would feel a pain like the loss in the Olympics, and I actually think this one hurt me worse.
Wow.
Which I never believed or thought was possible or could happen. But it does just show to me how much it really does mean to me, and how much being world champion meant to me. But in hindsight now, looking back on the Olympic loss as well, but on this experience and what happened in March, I'm actually so grateful for that whole experience, everything that happened. I feel like it's changed me so much as an athlete and as a person. I've learned so much about myself. I've learned so much about the sport, and I feel like it has forced me to grow and be better. And yeah, as much as it obviously hurt and sucked really badly, I am grateful that I went through that, and I've come out the other side so much stronger and so much better for it.
It's the official word from former WBC featherweight champion Skye Nicholson, who is now en route to her second consecutive fight and what could be her second consecutive win since dropping a decision to Tiara Brown, who still is the featherweight division's WBC champion, where Skye is at a new weight, with new targets, new goals. Too bad she couldn't get that rematch. Tiara is well within her rights not to give her one. I'm not saying that she has to, but was that the right decision? When Skye's already had a fight since then, now she's en route to another one, and Tiara has not yet fought since then, has not yet made any money from becoming a champion. In a rematch situation, Tiara could have asked Matchroom for more money. That, all right, I'll fight your girl again, but this time, I want more. It's kind of like the Clarissa Shields thing with Savannah Marshall. Clarissa was well within her rights, did not fight Savannah again. But in not doing so, she hasn't been in a big fight since then. A meaningful fight. The girls she has fought, nobody knows those girls. Nobody cares. It's kind of like that with this, except Tiara hasn't even fought since then. To my knowledge, doesn't have a tentative fight date. Now, I half expected that MVP might decide to sign her, given that they're signing all these other fighters from these other places. Tiara is an unbeaten champion. She'd be an okay addition to the MVP stable, but they haven't signed her as of yet. I know that could change, but I'm just saying, looks kind of crazy that the girl that lost the fight has already rebounded off the loss, is on to her second fight since then. All before the champion gets to make any money. All before the champion gets to capitalize off of being a champion. So maybe depriving Skye of that rematch wasn't the best idea. Go into a rematch situation, you've got more bargaining power, you're the champion now, you can get a better purse, do things on your terms. Skye's gone, and there are not that many high-profile fights to go around for Tiara. Not when you consider that the reigning IBF champion Nina Menka is now recovering from spinal surgery, and Amanda Serrano, while she is returning to the featherweight division, I don't know that Amanda wants to give Tiara the time of day. I don't know that she wants to do that fight. It's going to be Amanda's first fight at Feather in a long time. I don't know that her first fight back at Feather would be against Tiara, and being honest, I don't know how many fights Amanda has left in her, because she really doesn't have to fight. She's made very, very good money, enough to retire on. The point is that there's a scarcity of big fights and big names at featherweight right now, and one just got away. Skye moved down to super bantam, so The future looks a bit murky for Tiaria Brown. Despite it being WBC Featherweight champion, I don't know what the future holds. In men's lightweight news, veteran boxing scribe and big Gervonta Davis supporter Ellie Sekbak said, "No need for Tank to rematch with Roach. It's time to move on to bigger fights." The other day I saw Two-Tone the Superstar, another content creator, say something similar. It's more of the same ableism you see from the Shields fans, who think it's perfectly alright for her to call out a 47-year-old retiree. In this instance, these guys think it's perfectly alright for Gervonta to skip out on Levant. I don't understand. How is that the same thing? It's disgraceful. That's what it is. It's disgraceful for Clarissa Shields to be calling out a 47-year-old retiree like it's disgraceful for Gervonta Davis to bail on Levant Roach. What? You got more than you bargained for, and now you don't want to run it back? You scared? You nervous? Did he spook you? You couldn't finish the job the first time, so you don't want to roll the dice the second? It speaks to what I've always said about this guy. Coward! His fans are not really fans of boxing in the boxing sense, because a boxing fan would expect a fighter in that situation to want to run it back. Look at all the pressure they're putting on Dimitri Bivol. The expectation was that he would have to fight Artur Beterbiev again, because he now isn't. He's under a lot of pressure. But they don't put that pressure on Gervonta Davis. They don't hold him to any kind of a standard. Because he can't maintain any kind of a standard. He's a joke. And when you say that he doesn't need to fight Lamont again, he needs to move on to big fights. What big fights? What, the Shakur Stevenson fight? You couldn't finish the job with Lamont. I mean, while that is a bigger fight than a Lamont Roach fight that would likely pay more money, I don't think the guy who struggles to deal with Lamont Roach is going to then fight a Shakur Stevenson. You struggled with Lamont, you would lose to Shakur. So when they say he needs to move on to bigger fights, I don't think it's Shakur Stevenson they have in mind. I don't think it's anybody at 140 either. I mean, I don't think it's Gary Antoine Russell. I don't think it's Richardson Hitchens. I don't think it's Teofimo or Subriel Matias. When they say he needs to move on to bigger fights, I don't think that's who they're talking about. I think they're talking about a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. That's who I think they're talking about. They are either talking about a rematch with Rolly Romero for Rolly's WBA title or a Pacquiao fight.
Will you be fighting again kaya this year again, Manny? Everyone's asking.
This year, mga December.
Talaga? Sa US ulit?
Manny Pacquiao means to return to the ring in December against an opponent that has yet to be announced. The names that are out there in the running, a Mario Barrios rematch, or perhaps a fight with Rolly Romero for his WBA title, or Gervonta Davis, who Manny Pacquiao mentioned himself more than once. When I see people preemptively giving Gervonta Davis a pass to not fight Lamont Roach again, I get the distinct impression it's because they expect him to move up and they're expecting him to fight Manny, a 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. If he did that, it wouldn't be for a title, wouldn't be for no belt at all. Moving up to 147 from 135 might see his WBA title at 135 left vacant. It's not a bad thing. If Gervonta were to theoretically move up to welter for Manny, odds are he's not dropping back down for anybody, for his WBA title, or anybody down there. That's not a bad thing. Fight with Manny Pacquiao wouldn't be for any title at all. What's supposed to sell the fight is the name value of Gervonta Davis, whose stock just took a hit, and Manny Pacquiao and whatever drawing power he still has. We haven't gotten a preliminary set of numbers for what the Barrios fight did on pay-per-view. 50, 100, 150. What did it do? We don't know. Long gone are the days of bragging about how a pay-per-view performed. It doesn't happen anymore. The old saying goes that if you had something to brag about, you'd be bragging about it. So if you're not bragging, is Gervonta Davis versus Manny Pacquiao a bigger fight than a Lamont Roach fight? There's an argument that the Roach fight might be bigger because the Roach fight ended in controversy, and controversy sells. That's what sold the second Wilder versus Fury fight that did way better numbers than the first one. The first fight ended in a controversial draw, like this fight ended in a controversial draw. And in the second fight, Wilder and Fury sold more than 2 times as many pay-per-views as the first time out. The second fight was bigger. I think that underlying principle applies to Davis versus Roach. If they did it again, it would not only be bigger than their initial meeting,
Might be bigger than a Pacquiao fight.
let's put away this mirage that Manny Pacquiao still has the same drawing power that he used to. We know that he doesn't because when he fought Ugas, that didn't sell that much, and we don't even know what he sold with Mario Barrios, to where if you put Gervonta Davis in there with him, that doesn't make it a big fight by default. Gervonta's stock is down, and Manny's not what he used to be.
So people are not expecting Gervonta Davis to fight Lamont Roach again, and they're trying to get ahead of this thing by preemptively giving Gervonta a pass to not fight him again, so that when he doesn't,
Ease the transition. Make it easier for Gervonta to move on and be the coward. Coward I always knew he was. The pussy. The fraud. The fake.
the bitch.
How could anybody root for this guy? It's a cultural thing.
People who are supporting him are less about boxing and more about keeping some kind of a code, maintaining some kind of a code.
As if there's any honor in these kinds of behaviors. This little code.
So goddamn stupid.
But I'd call that good news. If Gervonta Davis is now thinking about moving up and leaving behind his WBA title, letting it go to someone else who might actually try to unify it, I'd call that good news. Because when guys move up, they don't move back down. It's not like it is with the girls.
More often than not, when a male fighter moves up, they stay up. They don't come back down. And if what he's thinking about is a move to 147, goodbye 135.
Men's junior middleweight news, the question was asked, what's next for brother Israil Madrimov, who we haven't seen since he dropped a decision in the Virgil Ortiz fight? Jalal Akhmadov, Uzbek correspondent to the Uzbek fighter, said, there won't be a serious fight for Madrimov next. He will have 1 or 2 stay busy fights. It hasn't been made public much, but Madrimov underwent surgery on his leg. He is now returned to light training.
Not really an ETA there on when. When exactly can we expect him to come back? When he comes back, I don't expect that he's going to come back at 154. I expect that he'll come back at 160.
I think, having already become a champion, albeit briefly, at 154, and having fought the likes of Terence Crawford and Virgil Ortiz at 154, I think it's time for Israel to move up to 160. The reason for it is, he's good enough that people aren't just gonna fight him for the sake of fighting him. They know that he's a handful. They know that he is a well-schooled boxer.
He still is a high-risk, low-reward guy. And even if Crawford beat him and Virgil beat him, that doesn't mean everybody else does. He's still a gamble, and he's still dangerous. I don't think guys are going to risk it with him at 154, whereas at 160, the gene pool is a lot more shallow.
Less princesses and prima donnas, less front runners. At 160, he can start fighting in eliminators via the WBA or the IBF, the WBO, one of them, to get in position to fight for a title.
Can go up the WBA route, see about forcing a fight with reigning WBA middleweight champion Arislandi Lara, who hasn't done a whole lot with that belt since obtaining it. Go after that guy. He ain't getting any younger.
I think the same thing about Sergey Boachuk, who missed weight in his last fight. He might as well move up to 160. A lot of guys aren't going to roll the dice with Sergey like they're not going to roll the dice with Israel. Better to populate the middleweight division than keep trying your luck at junior middle.
Back down at junior middle, the former undisputed junior middleweight champion Jermell Charlo posted this image to his social media with a caption that reads, "That face says it all." In the image seen here, Sebastian Fundora, it would seem that Jermell is targeting Sebastian for a fight, likely due to proximity because Sebastian's a PBC guy, and so is Jermell. We've been hearing about Jermell's impending return, not just his return to boxing,
Am I supposed to be excited?
but his return to the junior middleweight division after his lopsided loss at super middle to Canelo Alvarez, seen here posting a knife and fork emoji under an image of Sebastian, as if to imply that Sebastian is food.
So what do I think about the fight? If Jermell Charlo were to jump right back into the ring, right back into 154 opposite the ring Sebastian Fundora, that would be a nice feather in Sebastian's cap, because Jermell never actually lost his lineal status at 154 per se. You know, he left the division the undisputed lineal junior middleweight champion, so I suppose that might be worth something for Sebastian, and beating Jermell might be easier than beating some other guys, because Jermell hasn't made this weight in at least 2 to 3 years. The last time he fought at junior middle was in the Brian Castano rematch
In May of 2022. It's been that long. He hasn't made that weight in about 3 years.
and he hasn't boxed anyone at all in close to 2. So that if he's now thinking about jumping right in there with Sebastian, you gotta give the edge to Sebastian. He at least has momentum.
He's fresher, he's younger, he's been making the weight consistently, fighting consistently, whereas Jermell, you haven't made this weight in 3 years, you haven't fought in 2, you're in your mid-30s. A drop like that from 168 back down to 154 is often ill-advised.
Even still, I don't know how much attention I should give a Charlo versus Fundora fight, because we've been hearing about Jermell's impending return for what feels like a year now. Over a year, that he's coming back.
Oh.
He's on his way back. Look out.
Oh shit!
Fighting Sebastian Fundora seems to be part of Jermell's plans, but who says that Jermell is part of Sebastian's?
How does Sebastian feel about that fight? How does Samson Lukowicz feel about that fight?
I remember last year, towards the beginning of it, Stefan Espinoza was asked, what's new at the PBC? What new faces can we expect to see? And he talked about the Charlo brothers.
Do you understand that? They asked him what's new, and he talked about 2 guys that are in their mid-30s.
Now, we've seen Jermell Charlo here and there. He's made his move up to super middleweight, looked less than spectacular. We've yet to see Jermell. This is what the PBC stable consists of. Repurposed and repackaged, recycled, regurgitated fighters from yesteryear that aren't getting any younger, have no name value now, and in many ways are cold product.
Yeesh.
I mean, this is what the PBC stable consists of. You don't see them signing a whole lot of new fighters, as they can not afford to accommodate them. Fresh new faces and young blood.
Nope.
Even if Jermell Charlo does mean to come back, even if he does mean to come back at 154, do they even have the fight dates or the money to keep him active?
What a joke.
How are you supposed to sell this fight? I mean, the last time we saw Jermell Charlo, he basically got embarrassed by Canelo Alvarez after talking a good one, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and Canelo...
Jermell didn't do shit.
I remember that Cameron Giles and Mason Betta clowned him after that for underperforming after talking a good one.
You want to sell this guy now, 2 years later?
I mean, you can try to sell an aging fighter whose career has no traction and no buzz at this point. I ain't gonna stop you.